All right, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Sooner you begin, the faster you're completed, so we'll try and stay on time. Feel free to step out and get food if your plate gets empty while you're sitting there. I'd like to call the annual faculty meeting to order. You should have all received or reviewed the minutes of the last May meeting held last May 16th in your handout. Could I have a motion for approval? Where did that come from? Dr. Goldman, could I have a second? Dr. Grumlick, any discussion or comments? All in favor, please raise your hand, say aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Next up is the election of the Executive Committee. You should all have in your handout a ballot. It says across the top of it that it's select 7, so if you're looking for it, it's about half dozen pages back. You get to vote for 7 candidates. So if you recall, we send out something of interest, individuals who are recommended back on that first ballot that goes out to the entire faculty by email. If they come back, at the top 14 are then suggested for this and added to the ballot. The top 7 then are members of the top 4 go to the top 5 when we get to the expansion. There'll actually be 5 executive committee members. Once you finish that ballot, please pass it down to your left. And we will try to know the outcome by the end of the session. So as you finish, just take it down to the left until we have them all. Next step in the agenda is the Committee on Committees. There's a handout on the Committee on Committees. The slate presented is Dr. Meenakshi Iyer, Dr. Richard Anderson, Dr. Thomas Goldman, Dr. Jelaine Lapke, and Dr. Stephen Lasley. The Committee on Committees make recommendations about who serves on which committees within the college and also at the campus level. They meet generally once a year, so it's not a bad committee to be on. You may make additions to the slate from the floor. Are there any additions? May I have a motion for approval of the slate as proposed? Where'd that come from back there? Dr. Anderson, is that back there? All right, and then Dr. Massey. All in favor, say aye. Okay. Then we're going to move next into departmental reports. Okay, so just a reminder to those of you, the goal of the departmental reports is to rapidly exchange information about various departments. So they're by definition designed to be short and sweet. Each department gets 3 slides. They have to present those 3 slides in 3 minutes, so there's sort of a sense 3 by 3. So it's designed to be quick. The only way that we'll get through all 22 brief reports is if we have individuals line up by alphabet. So if you look at your department reports, we'll be starting with academic affairs, and as academic affairs gives theirs, administrative affairs should be waiting in the wings. So that Meenakshi can hand out to Nick, who's administrative affairs, and then after that, advancement community relations should be down here and ready to roll and be handed off to next so that we can move through these fairly quickly. I am the timekeeper, and I actually charge my phone so I would be able to keep track. Okay, I'll start, wiggling my eyebrows and making distracting looking faces at about 3 minutes, and if you hit 4 minutes, I stand up, all right? So I will say, I think, Tom, I see my husband back there, I think he's the only one that I had to stand up for several years ago and kind of walk around to capture, but so So that doesn't happen often. So please, we'll try and keep moving quickly through these, and I'll turn this over to Dr. Iyer.
Good evening, everyone. So, going to start with our biggest accomplishments, some of the things you probably already heard. We are going through curricular transformation and college expansion, so we will have our M1 class starting in the fall. August 7th is first day of orientation. August 14th, 8 a.m. is the first day of class. In the process, we have been working on space. We are building out our anatomy lab, our active learning lab, clinical skills space, and small group discussions, and it's supposed to be done on time. At the same time, the faculty in academic affairs have been actively engaged in scholarly activity. We got selected to go to the AAMC Harvard Millennium Conference for 2017. There was a team which was accepted in 2015, and this team going in 17 was co-led by Dr. Wickham and Dr. Dove in Chicago. We've had multiple national presentations. We've started the Student Wellness Initiative and Career Counseling, and we've actually had a very strong performance in Step 1. So our challenges, our biggest challenge, as much as we are all excited about the upcoming year, is actually engaging and retaining preceptors. There are multiple small group activities that's going to happen in the new curriculum. Small group discussion, clinical skills teaching, longitudinal clinical experience. We are aligning the curriculum across all 3 campuses, and so that has been a significant effort and work that has gone behind it. It will continue to be a lot of work. We need to have academic skill support because the way the curriculum is being implemented is very different. There will only be 3 to 4 hours of lectures per week. All the rest will be active learning. So it's a curricular shift, frame shift for faculty and students, which will mean that we need to do a lot of faculty support and development. And in the fall of this year, we will be running 2 curriculums simultaneously. So.
Does anybody still have a ballot?
Oops. Oops. That didn't work. I just did so. What did they do to advance this slide? This one? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Just a quick slide on the people who I work with, the good team that I have. Accomplishments this year, upgrades to the building. We installed a cooling system, which was a major upgrade for us for keeping this building cool. Upgrades to the IT, installed new servers and switches and what we had to do to upgrade our equipment. And we continue to have a good financial performance for the college despite the state reductions again this year. The challenges, number 1, support the M1 expansion with the building and the funding of that program. Execute the new PSAs, service agreements with St. Francis. And state funding, again, the uncertainty and the reductions that we're expecting next year with our funding. So those are my challenges.
Good evening. Representing Advancement and Community Affairs, Stephanie Grinnage. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the Vice Chancellor for Medical Advancement and the Chief Development Officer for the college, and my tag team partner.
Hi, you guys know me, Dave Haney. You guys get all my e-news, so thanks if you read them.
Of course they do. Advancement, we've been talking about the M1 campaign, and we're actually drawing closure to our M1 campaign. The first-year medical education campaign was developed by leadership of this college for the M1 expansion, and we've had phenomenal success this year. The community really has, this has resonated very strongly with our community. We were also able to acquire the Veterans Administration Building, something that Dean Sarah Rush has wanted for many, many years. That happened in December, and that is delegated or designated for future growth of the college. And we saw very strong support for scholarship and student research. I will give you a few numbers here because I think it's very impressive. For when you see a posting for the influence of philanthropy on the College of Medicine Peoria, you're going to see a number this year that totals $5,936,686, which is a phenomenal year for philanthropy. Much of that can be attributed to your leadership and Dean Sarah Rush's activity in the community and helping to really solicit and cultivate long-term relationships for this college.
So in brief, anyone who was at last year's meeting, you may remember the video that we sort of rolled out that was in thanks to the Convention and Visitors Bureau. Sort of continuing on that, my office has helped many of your departments as well as student affairs and recruitment. So keep me in mind if you need some assistance there. We continue to get good local coverage. Both in the news, also in a number of just community service programs where faculty are speaking at. Also, I included in our accomplishments is a logo, which came after many, many months of negotiations with Chicago. So we continue to maintain a Peoria look to our logo, but also show that the College of Medicine is a multi-campus organization. So challenges ahead. Under community relations, you'll see budget. My budget comes from the dean, so I don't think I have to go into too much detail there. Continued media consolidation makes it tough for us to share our stories. There's just fewer people out there in that work. Doesn't mean we can't, but it's just tougher. And then student expansion, which I think is super positive. It just means that we'll have more challenges as we move forward.
And of course, in private philanthropy, we still have the issue of state and local and state economy, because private philanthropy cannot be the thing that keeps the lights on. And so we're talking with a lot of donors who want us to assure them that their private philanthropy actually creates transformational projects and programs for your college. We will launch a university-wide fundraising campaign. All of the colleges of medicine and all geographic campuses will launch on October 14th this year. I don't have the exact fundraising goal yet for the entire College of Medicine. It probably will be in the $300 to $350 million range. It will be a 6-year campaign. And then, of course, we've called a lot of folks, and we've already received signature gifts for the M1 campaign that comes to closure on June 30th. And so we may not see some significant gifts from some of those organizations for the next couple of years. But the good news is we've built a really nice pipeline calling our alumni and other community leaders who may not have been as excited about M1 as we were, but are excited about the other things that are going on in the College of Medicine Peoria.
Hello, everybody. So the Cancer Biology and Pharmacology Department, I want to underscore the fact that our new faculty, we recruited 3 faculty members to the department last year, and one of the goals that we had was to have areas represented within cancer that would foster and catalyze interactions with other departments. So I want to underscore the fact that Dr. Germarti, who is one of our recently recruited faculty members, has gotten an award with Dr. Christensen in PEDS, and that's exactly what we had in mind, to catalyze this interaction. So I'm glad to report that. An effort that has been a focus of mine is to see if we can get students in our research laboratories, and in a way towards that we have made efforts to strengthen the partnership and interaction with the other campus. So we had an agreement with the Rockford campus to have students from their Master in Biotechnology program come here, hear presentations from our faculty, and we had then come up a bus full of students who spent a day here and heard about the research that's going on in our labs, and we're hoping that from that visit there will be students from that program who will then be here for a whole year doing their research requirement for their master's program. And we have strengthened our partnership with the Cancer Center. We have been having regular meetings now for quite some time with the Cancer Center leaderships from the various campuses, and that relationship has spearheaded the opportunity for us to play a role in the precision medicine initiative. So the University of Illinois, our medical school, is part of a consortium with Northwestern, the University of Chicago, that got a very significant funding from NIH to be one of the enrollment centers for the Precision Medicine Initiative. And this is something that we had the opportunity to participate in. I think that happened to a great extent because of the collaborations that really got stronger among the cancer centers. The department secured over $1 million in research grants. Faculty remain productive, publishing in high-impact journals, and our teaching mission was well accomplished. Class performance on the pharmacology exams has been very good. The class last year was exceptionally good, so we don't think that has been as outstanding as last year's, but nonetheless very good. In terms of challenge, the department unfortunately took a hit, a very serious hit, when the central administration had to freeze the indirect costs, a significant fraction of indirect costs. And because it just so happened that so much of the money that the department had set on indirect costs on ICR accounts, we really took a major hit, and that impacted on our ability to fulfill our goal of recruiting a fourth faculty mentor for the area of cancer genomics and systems biology. So our goal is to increase extramural support to make up for that loss, and we continue to work towards development of a PhD program in the department, and a goal to assist the new faculty in establishing collaborations with the other departments. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I'm Carl Esch, and a quick shout out to our team, Jim Moran and Minchell Kim, and a fond goodbye to Carmen Kirkness, who's left our college. Okay, the top 3 accomplishments of the last year. Well, I never take anything for granted in this community, so to successfully complete our EXPAREL hip replacement study, data collection with OSF Pharmacy, and just recently completed the analysis is a big accomplishment for us, given the answers to many of the questions that we were pursuing are now hopefully publishable. Our group was part of a great team based upon an AHRQ grant received a few years ago at another university I attended, but I was still the co-investigator. We won the best paper of the year through the orthopedic physical therapy orthopedic section of the American Physical Therapy Association. We also published this article in JAMA, And we also did the economic piece, which she's published in Spine. We've completed our Patient-Centered Outcomes Research Institute Tier 2 Pipeline to Proposal grant for our multiple sclerosis patient-led community, and we're expecting a Tier 3 grant this year. In terms of our challenges, well, it's always a challenge. I think every year I'll have to repeat this one, is that we want to further develop our relationships with INI, OSF, PCORI, and even the National MS Society in terms of getting research grants. We want to further engage ourselves within the Peoria community for research and support of the various fellowships that we help support. Thank you to Dr. Gromlich's support. And we strive to become nationally recognized as a center of research excellence.
Thank you. Alan Campbell, Dermatology. Our small department continues on with educational activities at each of the 3 years of the medical students. Let's see. Whoops. Yeah. Maybe I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. We also are trying to participate in GME and CME as possible. We worked closely with the family practice clinic, the dermatology clinic with Dr. Goldman, and we have a commitment for the final funding for an endowed professorship in dermatology, which could be our first full-time academic person. Challenges, of course, are to try to enhance research and educational activities with publications and other case reports through students and faculty. And so that's it, briefly. It's the right button.
I'm Tim Schaefer. I'm Chair of the Department of Emergency Medicine. Our program director is John Hafner. I'm going to apologize for the animation. I got carried away. I guess that's my ADHD shining through. So anyway, the first accomplishment, I think, is our faculty promotions. For those of you that may not know, we finished our junior year as a department, so it's our 3rd year. And one of the initial goals was to catch up our faculty on promotion. So a lot of this is faculty who had sort of been up for promotion for many years that we finally got them through the process. The past year we had 3 professors level promoted, 1 clinical associate professor, 3 new appointments. And then over the past 3 years combined, that represents about 58% of our faculty that either have had appointments or promotions. So I think we're caught up. The other area was faculty development, specifically for emergency medicine. And we had sort of two things here. One was to focus on our clinical faculty. And the Society for Academic Emergency Medicine has a 1-day workshop specifically designed for clinical faculty. So we paid for one of our faculty to go to attend the education boot camp. The other one was a sort of a new opportunity for our core faculty. And this was called the Academic Life and Emergency Medicine Faculty Incubator. And it's kind of a unique opportunity. It's an online learning community where they have meetings through, similar to Skype. They do online workshops together. They have reading and assignments and faculty projects. Dr. Sarah Krasiniak was the first one of our faculty accepted into the first class of this. And for the next year, we have 2 more of our faculty accepted for the next year's class. And then in research, we've done pretty good. 5 peer-reviewed publications, 14 online book chapters, 7 published abstracts, and 7 regional national presentations. The challenges, I think, for us continue to be research, how to fund it, how to get involved, how to get grant support money. We're still new at that process and growing. Fellowships, we did help with the simulation fellowship that got launched this past year. And the emergency medicine resident graduated and is in the 2-year fellowship. I worked with jump with that. And then the other thing, we're going to try to add more of our clinical faculty at regional sites. So our residents currently do rotations in Galesburg and also in Pontiac. Most of the attendings there are part of our faculty, but there's some that aren't part of our faculty. So we want to add those attendings as faculty members.
Thank you very much. I'm Tom Goldman, Chair of the Department of Family and Community Medicine. Let me start out by thanking all my colleagues. Our department Venn diagrams cross many, many others, and I appreciate all the work that all of our colleagues do in our other specialties. Here's the list of our leaders. We renamed the fellowship, the Women's Health Fellowship, to more appropriately Family Medicine Obstetrics Fellowship, because that's what we were recruiting all the time. And it turns out it works well for our parent hospitals as well. We still do our dual certification, finding ways to train osteopathic as well as allopathic physicians. And we celebrated just a few days ago the 20th anniversary of the Rural Student Physician Program, which is a longitudinal integrated curriculum that's available to our students in their third year. Challenges coming up. We would like to focus on the quadruple aim. We're all familiar with the triple aim. The fourth of that quadruple is the physician. Having a physician who's content with their practice, has some options, and doesn't quit or transfer out or become burned out. We are going to be passing the torch. My wife and I are both going to be retiring in December. And so to replace those faculty members and that leadership has been a topic of great conversations. And we would like to address, as a residency, some of the issues we see in the social determinants of health. How can our residency in family medicine really make some difference in addressing some of those issues? Thank you very much.
This year, GME filled 71 of its residency spots through the match and 2 through the post-match SOAP process. We recruited 13 fellows, and about 68% of the residents that we recruited were in the top 50% of the program director's rank list. We will graduate our inaugural class of fellows from our gastroenterology fellowship this July. This July also our pulmonary critical care fellowship will initiate its first incoming class. This year, Bob Wolford of Emergency Medicine, in collaboration with Annette Valenta at the University of Illinois, Chicago, created a faculty development program in quality and safety, and the program will finish after 32 weeks later on this month. Our institutional review committee, which is headed by Mark Squilanti, completed all 11 of its 11 residency program reviews this January of 2017, and we're very proud of that program, which was presented in abstract form at the AAMC meeting by Jerry Wickham and Mark Squilanti last year. UICOMP also participated in the AIAMC National Initiative 5, which centered on improving the quality of health and health care. It was our pediatrics program that presented a patient-centered home project. 2 of our residents did that. Our challenges and goals for next year, better alignment, particularly in the focus areas of CLEAR with our training partners, OSF and Unity Point. We'd like to create a better ambulatory care experience for our residents. We are aiming at providing better training for our residents in the area of accountable care, and in a program that we're collaborating with UGME with, and that's being driven
by Jerry Wickham. We would like to develop a wellness program that encompasses the continuum, students, residents, and faculty. Thank you.
So the Department of Health Science Education, just going to go to this. Okay, so it's a new department. So Tim, emergency medicine is no longer the youngest department. So it is like less than 6 months old. And we have some new faculty. If the faculty in the new department, can they please stand so that we can all welcome them to the campus? So Dr. Howard. Thank you. And the other accomplishment is actually the faculty have been working across campuses with Chicago, Rockford, and really working on the cross-campus collaborative design. This is something that in the history of the College of Medicine has never happened. So faculty have actually been working together, and so we're really looking forward to the new curriculum. The biggest challenges, faculty development. There will be a lot of time in the flipped classroom, and we've been having conversations about how do we develop faculty to help facilitate small group discussions. How do we teach them how to flip a lecture, use technology effectively in the classroom? And so there's a lot of faculty development opportunities. And of course, there is always resources that need to go along with that, including the fiscal support and with the recent changes that will come with state funding, and also finding staff support to support the faculty. And then one of the biggest challenges is supporting the curricular transformation efforts, because these are the faculty who will actually be one of the lead course directors in all the block courses. So a lot of the heavy lifting in the new curriculum from perspective of basic sciences will be done by the faculty in the department, along with the already existing basic science faculty that we have in pathology and pharmacology.
Thank you. I'm Mindy Reeder. I'm the director of the Office of Human Research Oversight. Three biggest accomplishments. Well, we were AHARP accredited last year, and we've maintained that AHARP accreditation. We had 2 status reports that were due, and they liked what we were doing and continuing to do, and we're doing what we said we were going to do. So we have maintained our compliance with our AHARP accreditation for the last year. We still have 2 years to go. We plan on working on that. We do have a mechanism now for monitoring the clinicaltrials.gov registration system. It is an updated requirement. They've updated quite a few things that need to be put on clinicaltrials.gov, and we now have developed a mechanism and a service for our UICOMP investigators that they can contact our office for help with that, with training. It's not the most intuitive process ever, so we're really trying to help with that. Also, we have a lot of studies that are coming up with that need data sharing agreements or material transfer agreements. Going from, let's say, OSF or from Methodist, and the data is being shared with a UICOMP investigator. We have to have paperwork and contracts for that type of thing now, and so we are taking it on as kind of something we're doing the record keeping for. I don't know if you're familiar with IRBNet, you researchers are, but we are housing that kind of paperwork in IRBNet so it's trackable. So those are some things that we've accomplished this year. Our challenges pretty much remain the same as they have been every year. I never have to change a slide. So we need to maintain our AHARP accreditation. Obviously, it's the gold star for a human research protection program. And there's a lot of things we have to do that are above and beyond what we were doing before. So that just takes time and staff. We're seeing a decrease in the size of our IRB portfolio due to changes to the common rule. Also, we did lose a lot of our cancer research last year due to the switching to central IRBs under the NIH single IRB mandate. Another thing is we like the regionalization of our IRB oversight, but it is always a challenge to maintain compliance at a distance. So just keeping the communication open and making sure we have a presence there is really important. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Francis McPhee, the Program Director of the Combined Internal Medicine and Pediatrics Program. Our faculty continue to humble me with their hard work and leadership throughout the institution. I think 9 of 11 of our core faculty hold major leadership roles. Our Matt Mishler, for the 10th consecutive year, has won the Golden Apple this year, and Sarah Chalmers, our rising chief resident, was voted Resident of the Year. Our program continues to contribute to the local medical community, with about half of our graduates continuing to stay locally in practice. Challenges and opportunities. I feel like we're always working to address service to education balance for our residents, and slowly but surely making some improvements there. We're working to develop a new model to improve and expand ambulatory education. And again, back to the idea of wellness, both teaching our faculty, residents, and students the skills of resilience, and working to develop systems that don't promote burnout, but rather promote wellness.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jim Gromlich. I'm Chair of the Department of Medicine. I wanted to thank the people that helped me run the Department of Medicine, including Dr. Lynch, our Program Director, our Associate Program Director, Dr. Sidney Palmer-Hill, and our Assistant Program Directors, Dr. Horvath and Dr. Yamani. I also want to acknowledge our Clerkship Directors, Dr. Matthew Mishler, Dr. Sarah Bonzel, and Dr. M.J. Yadov. Our accomplishments include the fact that we've been able to recruit infectious disease faculty physicians. We lost several in previous years, and now we've been able to recruit back up to up to par. We've also increased our peer-reviewed publications, as you can see in the chart, and as was mentioned earlier, we've achieved accreditation of a pulmonary critical care fellowship program, which will matriculate its first 2 fellows in July. Our challenges are that we need more ambulatory training sites for our resident learners as well as for our medical student learners. We need to work on a succession plan for department leadership, and that our goal is to submit an application for accreditation of a hospice and palliative medicine fellowship program, and so that'll be the things we'll be working on in the new year.
I'm Sarah Zalek from Neurology. I'm not Jorge Cata, so I'm covering for him, and these are his slides. If they were my slides, they'd have 3 pictures and a joke on them, so you'll get more information from Jorge. Please read. I'm not going to read them to you. We have several accomplishments in the past year, including that we have actually 22 listed, but 23 faculty. We have a new neurologist who's positioned in Galesburg currently, who's also taking his boards in sleep medicine, so he's one of my people. And a broad range of other neurology clinicians, and some of who are doing investigative work as well. So we have a fairly full crowd of breadth, not a lot of depth. Greg Bloom is our residency program director, and we have 16 residents. We've increased from 3 to 4 in recent years, and the residents are terrific. We serve a large population and have 12 neurology subspecialties. Our admissions are increasing, some of which includes 18 epilepsy surgeries, which really represents an opportunity for improvement. Many more people should have epilepsy surgery. We have great resources, and we're working on increasing patient access and care in that arena. Several advances have happened in neuromuscular disease. We have 3 neuro-ophthalmology specialists, and we've recruited one of our own. Dr. Ruben Valenzuela has come to join us. He trained with us as a resident, went off to do neuro-ophthalmology and multiple sclerosis, and came back to join us. And so we have an unusually strong group of neuro-ophthalmologists, and one of the only 2 neurovestibular labs in the state of Illinois. We have some original research that's happening that's funded by an INI, or by an INI fund, I guess. Our own foundation through neurology and neurosurgery is funding original research. I noticed that Jorge didn't include the very important topic of my research, which is sleep hygiene in employees, but you'll be reading about that, I'm sure, in the New England Journal of Medicine. And in terms of faculty awards, David Wong, who's one of our stroke neurologists, is the president of the stroke section of the American Academy of Neurology, which is very good. And he also is a recipient of the Faculty of the Year Award at UICOMP, I see. So we have challenges. Jorge says these are the same challenges every year, which it sounds like is a common theme here. Recruitment and retention is a challenge for us, and maybe one of our biggest barriers. There's a high demand for service. Neurology has a significant shortage coming that's current and going to be growing, so recruiting neurologists is difficult, and honestly, if we don't recruit them into a different paradigm, it's going to be hard to recruit them, so we need to change the way neurologists work. One of our significant challenges has happened recently. We've lost our stroke program accreditation for our fellowship because we haven't recruited another board-certified stroke stroke faculty member. So that's a significant challenge in our program growth, but one we hope to overcome in reasonable time. We have recognition as a regional, national, and international center of neurology excellence in some ways, but really not enough. And so Jorge feels that a strong push for academic work is appropriate, which we all agree with. I would also say that one of those arenas should be developing new methods of neurological care delivery. And telemedicine is something that we are working on. There are probably several other opportunities to improve the way neuroscience, neurological care is delivered. As we grow as a service line, we need to continue to develop our breadth and depth. So as a Department of Neurology, we need to recruit academic clinicians to do neuro-oncology, neuroimmunology, and some of the things that will round out our breadth, but also then develop some depth in some of our fields as well. So, thank you.
Hi, Jeff Kloffenstein, Neurosurgery. Julian is our program director, and so in terms of accomplishments, you know, when I got here, I think it was 2005, we had an interesting core of residents, some of whom were gently moved on, and it's taken about a decade to recover from that, to be quite honest. But for the first time this year, we have a complement of residents that are all U.S. grads, top 10 to 15 across the board, and this year we took our number one person on the rank list. Helps that it's Jeff Gar's son, but we did do that. We had a seamless transition. As you know, Dan Fassett was the head until just this year, and I was the program director. That has changed, and thus far it's been seamless, although I've yet to sit down with Sarah for my evaluation, so we'll see if it actually holds true. And our basic science efforts are continuing to progress. Dr. Sung, Dr. Viravalli, is he here today? He's co-appointed, and sorry, Dr. Soros, I'm going to take credit for him for the time being, but we have a number of R01s in preparation, 2 submitted and 1 in progress. Some good reviews on the first of those that was submitted, so good news there. Now to our challenges. Before we go to actually what I wrote down, I was sitting in the resident lounge or resident room the other day, and I saw this hanging on the wall. I'll give you 10 of my 90 seconds to read through that real quickly, and I laughed out loud. This is referring to the battery-operated clippers that we neurosurgeons use to cut hair. And this is a facetious little paper that is saying basically they have to get approved or they will be disciplined for the use of those clippers. And it points out very much what I believe is a significant frustration in our residency crew. And I could have listed on here the typical threats that all of our departments face, but I put this instead, obviously. And that's the bureaucratic oversight that's threatening our resident education. And I bring this up as a bit of a plea to you all, okay? We're all striving for patient safety and resident oversight and so forth, but I would submit to you that it's not only our current patients that need safety, it's those that our residents will care for. And so for all of us who sit on other committees within the hospitals and university, when someone brings a proposed restriction that again removes more from the residents and punts it upward, consider the evidence for that, the effect on the education, and take the appropriate steps to block those things that shouldn't occur. So thanks for the moment.
It'll be difficult to follow brain surgery, but I'll do my best here. I'm Steve Thompson, and I represent the Department of Obstetrics and Gynecology. And our program director is Rebecca Byler-Dan. I've divided our accomplishments and challenges up into basically three different areas: medical student education, resident education and training, and faculty and operations. In addition to the standardized patient breast and pelvic examinations that have been recently augmented, the department has initiated simulations for the medical students, the first being a vaginal delivery simulation. And I'd like to recognize Mr. Dwyer, if he's here, and also Dr. Podology for their excellent support and assistance, not only with the medical students, but with the residents and their simulations. The didactics component has been expanded with an increase in lectures, reviews, and supportive question banks. The medical students continue to do very well on their standardized shelf exams, and they score above the national mean. All applicants, our one applicant has been a light year this year, successfully matched for an OBGYN residency. Although she matched into a relatively competitive program, she was a military match, and that's usually a pretty competitive match. Residency education and training, we received 263 applications and interviewed 37 applicants for 3 slots. We matched very favorably, so we're happy with that. Our didactic component has been improved and enhanced, and to that end, we appreciate all of the interdepartmental help that we've received to accomplish that. And as already noted, our department has added a number of simulations for resident training, which will bolster that educational experience. We continue to have resident involvement in research presentations, as well as quality improvement and patient safety projects. 2 out of 3 of our chief residents are going on to fellowships, and our 3rd one is joining a practice here in Peoria. The faculty, we've had the addition of, well, we had the conversion of 2 part-time faculty who are very qualified generalist OBGYNs join our full-time faculty. And in addition, we've had the recent addition of a full-time fellowship-trained minimally invasive gynecologic surgeon who's off to a great start and is doing very well. And we've recruited another full-time generalist, obstetrician gynecologist, that gets good reviews from the residents. This has allowed us to expand our clinic coverage in areas of minimally invasive surgery, urogynecology, family planning, and continuity clinics. And this, of course, helped us to continue and expand high-quality patient care. Some challenges with the medical students. Having enough medical student preceptors is a continuing challenge with no easy solution. And as you know, it requires additional effort on the part of the preceptor. Not everyone is willing to give that. This issue will become more of a challenge with the anticipated changes in medical school curriculum and potential change in duration of the clerkship. Another challenge is a unique challenge to labor and delivery, and that is, it's not good, it's not bad, it's just unique. But we will need to find solutions to improving the interaction with non-physician personnel on that unit with the medical students. And that'll be a work in progress. Resident education and training. Our challenges are enlisting and maintaining engagement of volunteer faculty, recently retired faculty, and new faculty, and finding new ways to strengthen the curriculum and enhance the didactics. To strengthen and grow high-fidelity simulations, that's coming along nicely. To foster scholarly activity, addition of an increased faculty complement will be helpful for that. And our labors program has been certainly a challenging issue and is a work in progress and is currently in an evolutionary state. And finally, faculty recruitment. We have a small department, and retention recruitment are continuous issues and challenging issues. And hopefully with the addition of faculty, we'll gain a little breathing room to adequately cover the clinical services and maintain quality training and education for our residents and medical students. Thank you.
I'm Pushpa Joseph. I'm the chair of pathology. Last week we just concluded teaching to our M2 students for the year. our faculty also teach in the departments of pharmacology as well as infection and immunity. This past year, one of our faculty members, Dr. David Pinson, has developed several pre-recorded lectures for the flipped classroom sessions that we have been doing, and the students have really received this very well. He's also the local expert for pre-recorded lectures, and on May 9th, he's going to be conducting a faculty development session for any faculty member that wants to learn more about pre-recorded lectures and how to develop them. We continue to have two very successful electives that we offer to fourth-year medical students, and this is in forensic pathology as well as in surgical pathology. Our Dr. Sarah Buck and Dr. Sherry Young, who are pathologists at OSF, also teach in the neurology and neurosurgery residency program as well as in the GI fellowship program. Our faculty members are also actively involved in configuring the new integrated curriculum that is going to start in the fall of 2017. And we received several awards through the year. We do face several challenges. Of these, I think the most important one is that we'll have to coordinate teaching two different cohorts of students next year. The current M1 students who are in Champaign will be starting their M2 year here in the fall, and they will be following the old curriculum. And the medical students that start in the fall as brand new medical students here will be in phase 1 of the integrated curriculum. So we'll have to find a way to work out the logistics of managing both classes. This also means that we have to ask our volunteer pathologists to teach twice as much, and that, I think, is going to be a real challenge.
Good evening. I'm Pedro de Alarcon. I'm the head of the Department of Pediatrics. Dr. Bhavna Kandakatu is our program director, and Dr. Heather McLaughlin is the clerkship director. And I also like to thank my associate chairs. We used to call it vice chair, but senior associate chair, associate head, sorry, is Dr. Kay Saving. Dr. Barry Gray is associate head for research. Dr. McLaughlin is associate head for education. Dr. Kumar, associate chair for faculty development, and Dr. Gupta, associate chair for outpatient and outreach programs. It's a busy slide, but you heard about Peter and Amy's grant. What you didn't hear from Bento is that I believe this is the first time that we in Peoria have a CCTS grant here. So it's a terrific accomplishment. Also, Dr. Jamie Livis has a Cancer Foundation program grant that helps her develop a program for treatment of Wilms tumor in Kenya. And this is her renewal of this grant, so she'll be going on 6 years with this grant. We had recruited 15 new faculty. Of those, 8 more will be hired in July, so I'll tell you about those 8 next year. There were 10 faculty promotions going on right now, but Dr. Ross, Dr. Celaya, Dr. Kandakato, Dr. Delgado, Serrano Delgado, and Dr. Crowland were promoted to associate professors, and Dr. Deshpande was promoted to full professor. This is perhaps what I'm most proud of in our education. We had 29 presentations in 8 different national meetings from our residents. That's not included in the faculty publications and presentations that 169 publications from the Department of Pediatrics faculty. Our challenges remains financial. We had a tough year this year because our NICU and PICU had decrease in census, and that posed a tremendous challenge for us with decreased income. But that hopefully is getting better. We had been using locum tenens. Locally, that is no longer needed. And the development of the PSA, Physician Service Agreement with OSF, still remains an issue that we hope we will resolve this year. We continue to have challenging recruiting, and those are the two divisions that we will have challenges recruiting because they're very scarce around the country. But we have now a tremendous challenge in clinical space because the expansion of faculty, we now have no offices available. Our clinic space is going to be challenged because we won't have enough space to practice. And we are now moving from the 4th floor of Hillcrest to the 2nd floor of Hillcrest and getting a little cramped. But hopefully there's a light at the end of the tunnel, although it'll be a challenge to get everything done for the completion of a new outpatient building. Tom, we miss you, but I think your wife will try to fill in the time that you would otherwise have used. Thank you.
Ryan Finkenbein from Psychiatry and Behavioral Medicine. The vice chair is Tim Bruce, whose joke this is the pretty good guy, I think. I'm not positive about that. The associate program director is Dr. Jay Clore. And I also broke up our accomplishments into 3 areas. Education, we continue to provide excellent education in the segment courses and also our M3 rotations plus a handful of M4 electives. The shelf exam results have continuously been above the national mean. We're very proud of that. We also provide student wellness services. Emily Amon, Jay Clore, and then we hired a new faculty member, Tiffany Abrego, who will also be providing medical student wellness. Her background and specialty is in adolescent psychiatry and behavioral medicine, so she should be perfect for that group. We graduated our 2nd cohort of psychiatry residents this past year, and I'm proud that just under half of our graduates have gone on to do fellowships in everything from consultation liaison psychiatry to addiction to psychiatry to child and adolescent psychiatry. We continue to provide care in collaboration with UniPoint Health, 44 adult inpatient beds, some outpatient services, consultation for the ICUs and all the wards in addition to the emergency department there. Outpatient services include in pharmacology, the different therapies for individuals, also group couples therapy, transcranial magnetic stimulation for depression, and we are providing mental health services for 5 community agencies or organizations, including the mental health services for Bradley University this year. We have 9 ongoing IRB-approved projects, and last year we had 4 products accepted for publication or national meetings. I want to point out that I'm very proud of the faculty in my department. There's only 7 full-time faculty to meet all of these needs in the normal competition that you have in education and services at the resident level, but in our department, oftentimes at the faculty level, trying to provide both service, high-quality care, as well as education, and to try to tie in some scholarship into that. So I'm very proud of the faculty that we have. That becomes, as every year, our number 1 challenge is to recruit faculty. I'm proud to say that we have 2 that are coming this coming year, 2 graduates of ours. Doctors Amanda Vastag and Priyanka Patel will be joining us next year. But we continue to recruit for a program director, inpatient psychiatry, addiction psychiatry, child and adolescent behavioral health, geriatrics. We'd like to add another psychologist and look at developing a psychology internship. And then continue to work with UniPoint Health, Methodist, and Proctor to see whether there are opportunities for developing fellowships in any of these areas. We are preparing for the Phase 1 students and continue to approach some research efforts, including perhaps getting some grant funding in the next year or 2.
Evening, everybody. I'm Sean Maher from Radiology. First and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to a couple of people who are worthy of mention in the radiology department. One is here, one is not. So the first is our program director, Terry Brady. Terry has been instrumental in just about anything related to radiology. And then certainly not second on this list, but Tom Cusack. Tom is the brains behind the old outfit. I'm just the guy that shows up and work and gets all the credit, but Tom does all the work. So Tom, thank you very much. So the things that we're very happy about in radiology, so number one, I'm not sure if anybody's aware, but interventional radiology is being spun off as a separate residency, something called interventional radiology, diagnostic radiology. So we are preparing for that spinoff, I think, starting in 2020 maybe is when we're going to have our first resident. So we did get approval from the institutions for funding for our IRDR residency program. Our radiology residency and our fellowships are full for the first time since 2005. So I've been here since 2006, and this is the first year we actually matched a neuroradiology fellow, and I'm a neuroradiologist. So I guess, I don't know if that's about me or not about me, but so that's nice that we're fully, we've got a full complement. We did hire a new residency coordinator, so I think after 20 some odd years of working very diligently for Dr. Brady, Lori Dyer retired, and we hired Amanda Hicks. So MedPeds, thank you very much for letting us borrow her. So those are probably the highlights of our year. The challenges that we have, responding to the educational needs of M1s, obviously in anatomy and with an increased reliance on imaging, radiology is going to take up a fundamental part of our anatomy. So preparing for that, lots of paperwork to take care of for the IRDR residency, and continuing competitiveness and trying to recruit qualified applicants into our radiology pool. Thank you.
The last one. Okay. I'm Steve Marshall from the Department of Surgery. Our accomplishments for this past year, we've hired 3 new faculty members, vascular surgery, plastic surgery, and surgical critical care. Because of the plastic surgeon and his interest in research, we've been able to refocus our mission of resident research. And we've also, through the efforts of my program director, Dr. Steve Serrades, helped to improve communication between residency programs. We also matched 12 medical students into surgical subspecialties this year and filled 4 of our spots. We have 4 spots that we filled. Our 3 highest priorities for next year are quality improvement projects for the residents and attendings, to strengthen our rural programs as we realize that general surgery in the rural community is a dying art, and again to increase our research production. Thank you.
So when I look at accomplishments, there are a few that I wanted to mention. The M1 year, transforming the curriculum, faculty, hiring, construction, and philanthropy in order to be able to try to afford it. We have the Dean's Award for Innovative Medical Student Education I want to talk about briefly, which is an award that is a gift to OSF in support of the development of innovative medical student curriculum, particularly as it uses technology, particularly that technology created at JUMP. And so the letter of intent went out. The PI has to be a UICOMP faculty member. But it's a unique opportunity that I think is very important, and if you're interested, talk to me about it. We did obtain the adjacent land as a gift purchase, so it was partly gift, partly purchase, which is why some of our philanthropy numbers look so good. 2.97 acres, so the foundation actually purchased it for $500,000. It was appraised at about $2.3 million. And so we will buy it from them for the $500,000 amount over time, and I don't have any particular mission or vision for that land just yet, but having that much land, particularly since it abuts to us, gives us lots of opportunities. We've been making research investments, both in new CBP hires. We continue to get support for CORE that comes out of the original endowment. We've invested in the wellness program for cognitively based compassion training, which Dr. Suarez led, along with what he calls his six-pack. Francis, I see in the back, Bhavna. And we've taught that across the community, everywhere from the city manager to the superintendent of schools to representatives from Susan Coleman. We've enhanced Student Research Day. Thank you to Dr. Lasley, who heads the research committee. And we've enhanced the Division of Research Services, which increasing our statisticians' time, and we've been doing more compliance in research, all of which is research infrastructure. But really what I put at the bottom is thank you, because I get to claim credit for all those things everybody listed on their slides as accomplishments. And so the work of the college proceeds not because of the work of the dean, but because of the work of the faculty. Each of the chairs contributes, and I thank all of you very sincerely for all the hard work that you've done and displayed and shared with everybody else. Challenges, for deans, challenges is always money. You know, it was on the slides before. So these are some of the numbers-wise. So if you look at the state budget, so the fiscal year 15, 16, and 17, this is general revenue fund, so this is a combination of the money the state gives us or would give us if we had a budget, and the tuition combined. So we traditionally keep increasing tuition, but the net is falling. The highest it's ever been is up in the 7s, and we've gone from 15 to 16 to 17 from 6.8 to about 5.4 million in state and tuition. And if you think that my operating expenses are over $1 million in itself, you know, this is a real challenge. If you look at the ICR fund balance, ICR is our indirect cost recovery. It comes to us on grants, and usually only on federal grants, NIH, AHRQ. We had about 3.8, went to 3.1, and then now to 1.1. Partly that's investing, because some of those ICR funds were supporting core or supporting the new hires in cancer biology. But about 1.3 of that is the money that is being held centrally until the budget gets clear. So it moved out of the campus and is being in hold, escrowed centrally. MSP, which is our medical practice plan, the revolving, which is our contracts, and our foundation are pretty much holding stable. There is some decline in our billing this year, which Pedro mentioned, mostly reflecting sort of a slowdown at Children's Hospital. We also are having an increasing accounts receivable as the state doesn't pay its bill. And so the MSP, which includes the money that is ours for that's accrued, the money that the state owes us, is holding steady, but some of the actual revenue dollars are declining because we're not getting paid. And as Dr. Dialacon mentioned, PEDS has been particularly problematic in terms of its funding streams, something we're addressing through Physician Services Agreement. We have seen an increase in gifts for M1 use, which is really valuable because that helps support that growth and the things that we're doing on the campus. Capital expenses, about $251,000 in 2014-15, and almost $2 million in 2015-16. About $1 million of that went into redoing our IT infrastructure, and another 700 and some went into the first payments toward the M1. FY17, we had to fix a $600,000 failed air conditioning system for the campus building, which you can't really do without in Central Illinois. And we're still continuing to make some payments into construction. Mentioned the expenses for the purchase of the land, which I believe is a good investment, but is going to cost about $500,000 plus the demolition cost for the building will take the building down. So we currently do not have any debt, which I'm actually quite proud of. That was one of the things I was committed to when we came, except for the debt that we owe the foundation over time for the purchase of the adjacent land. We also currently do not have a structural deficit, meaning that we aren't having to go into our reserves for day-to-day operating expenses, but it gets tighter and tighter all the time. With the M1s coming, we'll have a new dollar stream that comes with them that will help support the cost of that. But money is, I think, remains a concern and needs continued careful attention to detail, contracts, and budgeting. Other challenges, balancing autonomy with integration. We're integrating with our college campuses. Both of our hospitals would like to see tighter and tighter integration with their strategic plans and service lines. And this makes sense if you think about it, because the more we work together, the more collaborative we are, the more effective we'll be. On the other hand, how does that affect the autonomy that we have to protect those things that we hold dear in the areas of education? And the things that need the kind of rapid decision making that might need to be done on a local basis or at the campus. And so that's a challenge. It's not neither good nor bad, but it's a challenge. Designing and delivering a transformed M1 curriculum while maintaining a high quality curriculum for M2s while remaining heavily dependent on volunteer faculty while remaining in budget. That gives me a few sleepless nights occasionally. And that's going to be a challenge. I believe we're going to get it done, and actually I think we're in better shape than many of our peer places because we value education so strongly that when we need to, I think we'll sit down and figure out how it happens. And then there's the ever-increasing administrative burdens for faculty, staff, and administration. So I'll confess when I saw Dr. Klopfenstein's slide that I thought he was going to talk about all the infinite number of things that we have to do, this online learning that we get, which I couldn't tie to hair clippers in my mind at all, but I figured that, but it is true that there is an ever-incremental series of administrative hurdles that we have to get through, whether it's online learning and about multiple different topics, whether it's all the different rules that keep changing that come to us from the university and the state. You know, it's a complex environment to operate on, and I think that's a challenge. So anybody notice that I had 4 slides? So I got away with it. I do want to thank you for coming. I do have just a few remaining things that I want to take care of. I appreciate your conciseness. If you have suggestions on how to make this either more efficient or more effective in information sharing, please let me know. The results of the Executive Committee election, Dr. Richard Anderson, surgery, Dr. Amy Christensen, peds, some of that you are perhaps re-elected, Dr. Brian McIntyre, psychiatry, Dr. Matt Mishler, med-peds, Dr. David Pinson, pathology, Dr. Stephen Seraides, surgery, Dr. Greg Tudor, emergency medicine. Individuals not elected to directly serve will be on the list as alternates when one of these individuals cannot make it. Are there any items from the floor? There is a handout with new faculty attached. I know that we had the members of the Department of Health Science stand up, but would you stand up again? Any other new faculty also, please stand. We welcome you to the college. I'd like to acknowledge members of our faculty who died in this past year. If we could just have a moment of silence. Dr. Richard Lee of neurology, Dr. Donald McRaven of cardiology, Dr. Carmen Kirkness, Center for Outcomes Research. Let's keep them and their families in our prayers. We will be having the HLC visit May 1st, executive committees and leadership. Faculty may also come. HLC is Higher Learning Commission. They're accrediting all of the UIC college, and they're visiting us as one of their regional campuses, so that is on Monday, and there's been distributed an opportunity for faculty to participate in that. We will have our 9th annual Celebration of Excellence on Thursday, October 26th, 2017, so we're giving you lots of heads up to put it on your calendar. Thank you for coming. You know, I think that there's a lot to be proud of. It's a joy to see what our departments have accomplished. I do think we're beginning to move the needle a little bit in research, which has been a very long time coming. And I'm pleased to see the development that's happened in each of our departments and the enthusiasm and all the effort that you put into making education and research and scholarship as well as patient care happen here in Peoria. So thank you very much.